So today, grade fives, we're going to be learning about climate. I know some of you have already started working on your sheets for this or even on your websites, but this lesson is just going to help you completely understand it. So with climate, the first thing I want you to do is to just think about what climate is. So is it the same as weather? Is it something completely different? Where have you heard the word climate before? So just give yourself about 15 seconds and just think about it. Alrighty, we're going to move on to our learning goal now. So our learning goal is to understand that climate refers to long-term weather trends in a particular region, and region could be an area, a city, a country, a specific place, and that climate varies throughout the world. So climate is not the same throughout the world. The conditions in Canada aren't going to be the same as the conditions in Australia or Brazil or even Russia. There's going to be some differences. So I just have this video for you to watch. So we're going to watch this together. And this just explains the difference between weather and climate.
If you're like me, you know what your perfect day looks like, weather-wise. Sunny, rainy, snowy, whatever. Personally, I love it when it's cool and cloudy, like just cold enough to wear a sweater. You probably know that weather has something to do with how hot or cold it is outside. But really, there's a lot more to it than just temperature. So grab your sunglasses, your rain boots, and your most colorful scarf, because today, we're talking weather. Let's start with a big and pretty basic question. What exactly is weather? Well, weather is the condition of the air, or the atmosphere, on our planet. But the thing is, even though there's only one atmosphere on Earth, the weather isn't the same all over the world. There are many different factors that can change the atmosphere in a certain area, and together they determine what the weather is like from one minute and from one place to the next. These factors include temperature, humidity, wind speed and direction, and lots of other things. But when you're talking about the overall weather patterns from a certain region of the world, you're talking about the area's climate. Weather is the minute-by-minute changes in the atmosphere. Climate is what the weather is like over a long period of time in a specific area. Now, the weather is constantly changing all the time, every day. Think of the weather as being like that one friend of yours who can never make up their mind about what movie they want to see or what restaurant they want to go to. Just because it's beautiful and sunny outside when you wake up, that doesn't mean you won't need an umbrella before the day's over. And raining is just one of the things that weather can do. Rain, of course, is just a form of precipitation, or water that falls from the sky. It happens when droplets of water in the clouds, or sometimes ice crystals, get heavy enough and fall to the ground. If they're crystals, the warm air near the ground will melt them as they fall, forming liquid raindrops. But do you want to build a snowman? Another common form of precipitation is snow. Snow is just ice crystals that don't melt into liquid water as they fall. Another snow-like form of precipitation is sleet. It's what happens when ice crystals fall toward the ground, partly melt, and then refreeze again. But other kinds of weather can be way more severe, and the most common kind of extreme weather is a form I'm sure you're familiar with. Thunderstorms. A thunderstorm can happen when strong winds make drops of water and pieces of ice collide and break apart inside a storm. This causes electrical energy to build up, which creates a little something called lightning. But all of this rain and snow and sleet I've been talking about, that's all just weather. And while weather can change in a few hours, a region's climate takes hundreds, thousands, even millions of years to change. So how can we better understand the difference between weather and climate? How about we send Cartoon Sabrina on a little imaginary trip for a month? Okay, here she is at her destination, Yuma, Arizona. Let's pretend it's the 5th of the month. On this particular day where Cartoon Sabrina is, it's warm but very cloudy and the light rain has been falling on her, sorry me, all day. Since clouds and rain are what the atmosphere has to offer on this particular spot at this moment, and they can go away at any minute, those conditions are, yep, the weather. Now let's fast forward to the 10th of the month. Hello, sun. Looks like Tiny Me won't be needing an umbrella today. How about the 15th? More sun. The 20th? Still sunny. The 25th? You guessed it, sunny with a chance of, well, sunny. And finally, on the 30th, the sun's still shining. Little Sabrina, I hope you packed your sunscreen. So, what does this quick time-lapse of a month in Yuma tell us? It tells us that Yuma, Arizona is a pretty sunny place. In fact, on most days, it's one of the sunniest cities on the whole planet. So, the city's weather patterns existed before Mini-Me arrived and will continue after she leaves. In that case, you could say that Yuma has a sunny climate, even if its weather on a certain given day happens to be rainy. Now you know that weather is much more than just temperature. It's the condition of our planet's atmosphere, and it's constantly changing. You also know that weather and climate are not the same thing. But I saved the extreme stuff for last. The severe weather stuff, that is. You'll have to tune in next time to learn more about tornadoes, hurricanes, and blizzards.
Since you now know the difference between weather and climate, and that severe weather, such as tornadoes and hurricanes, are part of a certain area's climate, there is also a video showing you guys about severe weather because I knew you guys are so interested.
Hi guys, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about... Sorry about that. Today we're going to talk about... Are you finished, Thunder? Thank you. Thunder's pretty excited because today's episode is all about it. Well, to be more specific, today's episode is all about severe weather. But before things get all snowy, windy, and rainy in here, let's bundle up and ask ourselves the big question. What exactly is severe weather, and how is it different from regular weather? We know that weather is a condition of the air or atmosphere on our planet. Severe weather is the same thing, only more extreme. Extreme! But what does that mean? How do you know when weather is severe or extreme, and when it isn't? Well, severe weather is any dangerous act of nature that puts people, animals, or buildings at risk. Some light rain probably wouldn't count as severe weather, but a thunderstorm with heavy rain and lightning would. Tornadoes, blizzards, hurricanes, floods, and droughts are other forms of severe weather that can be dangerous to humans. But the more you know about these weather events, the less scary they seem. Let's start with tornadoes. A tornado is a fast-spinning column of air that stretches all the way from a thunderstorm cloud down to the Earth's surface. With wind speeds of up to over 300 kilometers an hour, tornadoes have the power to pick up and destroy everything in their path. While not quite as windy as a tornado, blizzards are storms with blowing or falling snow, high winds of their own, and cold temperatures. Hurricanes, or typhoons, are storms with high winds and heavy rain that start over warm ocean waters and bring lots of water with them. Speaking of lots of water, let's talk flooding. Floods happen when too much rain forces streams, rivers, and lakes to overflow, sending lots and lots of water where it doesn't belong, like your backyard. A drought is sort of the opposite. Think a lot less water, or no water at all. Droughts happen when an area doesn't receive enough rainfall, drying up rivers and lakes, killing trees, and ruining crops. All of those forms of severe weather have a big impact on the biosphere and the geosphere. How so? Let's find out. I'll conjure up some different types of severe weather to see exactly how shakeups in the atmosphere can impact the biosphere and the geosphere. Severe weather can be dangerous for people, obviously, but beyond affecting humans in the biosphere, severe weather can also affect plants and animals, too. Take a drought. After very long spells without enough rain, this nice mountain pond will become smaller, and maybe even dry up entirely. That means less habitat for the animals that live in the water, like ducks and beavers. But it also means less plant life around, because plants need water too. And fewer plants mean less food for animals like deer and elk that feast on them. But what about the opposite problem? What about too much water in the form of heavy rain? Really strong thunderstorms can sometimes bring lightning and high winds that can damage trees, maybe breaking off some of their limbs, uprooting them, or even setting them on fire. This is bad news not only for the tree, but also for everything that lives in it. And finally, even the ground, as solid as it might seem, can be reshaped by severe weather. Strong, recurring floodwaters act like powerful rivers and can actually wear down rocky formations like mountains over time. And sometimes big flows of rainwater can cause a slope or hillside to collapse in an event called a mudslide. The atmosphere interacts strongly with the other spheres of the environment, particularly when it's cooking up severe weather. It can even move things in the biosphere and reshape the geosphere. So now you know how to tell if weather is severe or not. Ask yourself, does it put life or property at risk? Does it have a major impact on the biosphere and the geosphere? If the answer is yes, you're not dealing with normal weather patterns. Severe weather might be less common, but it has a much bigger impact on the world around you. Anything to add, Thunder? I guess that means we're done.
So now that you've seen a little bit more about severe weather, we're going to go back to talking just specifically about climate. So with climate is the weather conditions over a long period of time. Climate is usually an average of over 30 years. It is the usual weather of a place, so what we can expect when we travel to somewhere. It can be different for different seasons. Like we know here in Lethbridge, our climate in the summer is very different than our climate in the winter. A place might be mostly warm and dry in the summer. The same place may be cool and wet in the winter. Different places can have different climates. You might live where it snows all the time, and some people live where it's always warm enough to swim outside. We're very jealous of those people. And as we know, it also includes severe weather. Whereas weather is the state of the air or the atmosphere at a given time in a given place. So it is very specific. It is the changes we see and feel outside from day to day. So the constant 24-hour period, the changes we see then is what weather is. It might rain one day and be sunny the next, which we know very well in Lethbridge, as it was snowing on Sunday, and even it was snowing yesterday morning. So this is just a little Venn diagram comparing them. So everything that's to do with weather is on this side right here. These are all the individual aspects of weather. And then over here is the aspects of climate, and then this is what they both have in common here. So the most important thing to remember with climate is average. It is an average. So that means they take everything, add it up, and then see what comes is the most popular. So it's the most of the time. So Las Vegas is sunny most of the time. Whereas weather is just observed in a day and it changes a lot. So this diagram just helps you compare the differences between weather and climate because they are not the same thing. So there's 3 main climate zones on Earth. They're the 3 basic ones. This is all you guys need to know about. You do not have to worry about anything else. So there's the polar zone, which is up here in this top area. Then we have the temperate zone, which is right here, all this yellow area. Then we have tropical, which is the green area. Then it goes tropical again, so it's this green area here. And then it's temperate again, so we have the yellow. And then we have our next polar zone. So when you fill out your sheet, you'll just look to see where on here your city would fall. So if you're looking, California is over here, so you know you would be part of the temperate zone. But climate zones are also broken down into much smaller, more complex groups, which you guys don't have to worry about so much, but just so you know. So there's tropical, and you can have tropical wet, and dry. So these are these areas here. You can also have dry, semi-arid, and arid. So really dry areas and dry areas, but not as dry. Then you have moderate, so you have the Mediterranean and the humid subtropical. You also have the marine west coast, so areas over here. Then you have continental, you have humid continental and subarctic over here. Then we have polar, so that's tundra and ice cap all the way up here. And then we have the highland, which is its own separate group actually. So those are just all the areas broken down. If you would like, you could find where your city would fall in here, but it is completely optional. And then we have climate change. You guys may have heard of this. So what climate change is a change in the usual weather found in a place. This could be a change in how much rain a place usually gets in a year, or it could be a change in a place's usual temperature.